Hopefully you guys have watched the lecture by now, and we are going to go over charging by conduction. So make sure that you have this sheet printed out so you can fill it in along with me. So let's start off at the top here, doing our top row. Let's start off with a negatively charged rod. So I'm going to make my negative charges in blue and my positive charges in red. So we have a negatively charged rod and a neutral electroscope. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we are going to bring our negatively charged rod, so I'm just going to write that in there. So what we're going to do is bring our negatively charged rod to touch our electroscope because we're charging by conduction, or also known as contact. So we have to make sure that our rod is in contact with our electroscope. So there it is, and it's alright. So now we have to think about what is going to happen when a negatively charged rod touches a neutral electroscope. So what is actually going to happen is that our negative charges are going to flow from our negatively charged rod into our neutral electroscope. Okay? And this is because our electrons want to even out their charge. So I'll write that down, that our electrons are going to flow into the electroscope. And as our electrons flow into the electroscope, what is going to happen is that we're going to end up with more electrons in our electroscope. So our leaves are going to repel outwards, right? Because our electrons are being repelled from each other, so they want to run away. So let's draw in then our charges, because I can draw in my positive charges because I know that positive charges don't move. And then I'm going to draw in my negative charges. They have moved down into the leaves, causing our leaves to repel. And then we take away our rod. So my rod is now only left with a few negative charges in it. And my electroscope is actually left with a lot more negative charges than it started with. Because of all those extra negative charges now, our leaves still continue to repel, and we have a negatively charged electroscope. Alright, then let's now have a look at what happens if we have a positively charged rod. And a neutral electroscope. So my electroscope is neutral and I have positively charged rod. Okay, so we bring our rod, I'll write up here that we have a positively charged rod. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring our rod to touch our electroscope. And in this case, what's going to happen is our electrons in our electroscope are attracted to the positively charged rod. So they are actually going to flow into the rod. So I will draw in my positive charges. Alright, so if my electrons are flowing into the rod, what is going to happen is that's just going to leave me with only positive charges in my leaves. And all my electrons have now flown into my rod, moved into my rod. So when the rod is taken away, that leaves my electroscope now positively charged. So I hope that helped you clear some things up with charging by contact. In the next video, we'll look at charging by induction.